All right, today's guest is Fabio Miceli, the founder of Sonno. For those of you who don't know, Sonno started as a bed-in-a-box D2C company, but has now evolved into a full sleep brand with both online and offline channels. Thank you very much for being here, Fabio.
Ciao, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So I always want to know the origin story. So take me back. How did you decide to become an entrepreneur in the first place? And how did you settle on mattresses and sleep products?
Okay, how I became an entrepreneur, that's I think always something that was in my DNA. I always wanted to run a business. I started when I was young, 18, 19. I started the first few businesses. I was a music producer. I started my career in music and I was running my own recording studio. Then I actually moved into digital and tech over 10 years ago. I started with Airbnb in the Italian team that was in charge of developing the market back then. And Airbnb was not what Airbnb is today. Like most of the people didn't know that, but I was really passionate about their mission and their vision, the way that they were helping people, really exploring local travels in a very different way compared to the hotel industry. And since then, I was in digital. After Airbnb, I moved to Malaysia. I did about 4 or 5 years of digital marketing consultancy. So I was mainly helping companies and brands, SMEs first, but then also global brands into managing their social media, their brand presence online, acquisition online, and e-commerce before starting Sonno. And I started Sono out of a problem, I would say. I was actually going for mattress shopping together with my wife, which is now also my business partner, and I noticed that mattress shopping was very boring, was really not working. Like there was big problems there. First of all, the experience was very bad. You had to go to a mattress store where you could see dozens of mattresses just one after another. You had to lay down 10 minutes, 15 minutes on a mattress. The variety was very big. So you got so many mattresses to choose on. A majority of the people don't really know what is needed for them, the difference between the materials, what is good for them. So very, very confusing. And then last was the price. So prices were very, very expensive. So we're talking in Malaysian ringgit here, since I'm based in Malaysia, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 ringgit, which is a lot for a decent mattress. So since my background was in digital marketing and e-commerce, I thought there must be a better way to sell mattresses online. And so I started digging into doing a lot of research, and I discovered this technology. The technology was allowing to compress the mattress, vacuum compress the mattress, and put inside a small box. So saving a lot of money on logistics, on delivering. And so I decided to jump into it. We designed and developed this high quality mattress that we could vacuum compress and put inside this small, beautiful box. We offer free delivery, and we also offer 100 nights trial so that our customers can actually sleep on the mattress for 100 nights before decided if they want to keep it, if it's for them, if it's working, if they can sleep well, because ultimately that's the goal, right? And this is how we started. So started out of a problem, we came up with a high quality product, and we improve all processes and all experience related to that purchase, right? And since then we expanded into a range of sleeping products. We have over 25,000 customers. We have over 5,000 5-star reviews online, and we have a range of about 10 products at the moment. So we expanded into pillows, bed sheets, toppers, and everything that can actually help people sleep better. And we've been very, very mission driven, I would say, since really day one. We wanted to build a sleep company that could help people sleep better and live well, because we spend a third of our life sleeping. That's a lot. Like that means when you're 60, you spent 20 years of your life sleeping. And we see that there is usually a lot of attention to food, to what we eat. There is usually a lot of attention to doing exercise, keep yourself in shape and go to the gym. But the third pillar of a healthy lifestyle, which is sleep, is very often underrated, but it's equally important as the other two. Because if you eat well, but if you don't sleep, that you're not gonna be healthy, you know. So same for exercise. If you do a lot of sport to keep yourself healthy, but you don't sleep well, you know, that doesn't work. So that's equally important. They have to work together. And I saw an opportunity, and I just went there.
Okay. Okay. No, I think it's really interesting how you navigated through recognizing the problem statements and wanting to do something about it. But let me ask, because this is a physical product, how did you go about establishing your first product? Did you have to figure out where you can manufacture it? Did you have to go through product testing? Walk me through a little bit of that process to get your first. I don't know if we really use MVP in the physical products world, but what did it take to get a first sellable product?
Yeah, I think this was, to me, that was the exciting part, because I spent so many years working in, working online technologies and working very often with things that I couldn't touch. And for me, that was the most exciting thing. You know, I wanted to work with something that I could touch and feel. So to me, that portion was amazing and was great. So what we did is we did a lot of research. So we put together all the the products that were available in Malaysia, products that were available in Europe, in the US, trying to understand and study the materials, what was the best material to develop mattresses, and what were the best technologies available, and actually the coming up technologies, you know, and materials that were available back in 2017 when we started. So from there, we developed a few prototypes. We talked to I think it was about 5-6 different manufacturers that could actually develop those products. We initially developed a manufacturer in China, because in Malaysia, the technology to compress the mattress was not available. So we had to go to China for that. So I got in touch with manufacturer. I went there. I developed prototypes, and then we tested. We tested personally. We tested through the circle of friends and people that could help us here in Malaysia, basically. And from there, we picked one product, one mattress that for us was the best, was given the best balance between the comfort that we wanted to give and the price point that we thought was making sense for this market. And from there we started. But I also have to say that was not the last product. Of course, we got a lot of feedback from customer, and especially when customers were returning the product, we were asking the customers to fill a survey where we could gain all the feedback and all the details about what was not working about the product they got. And from there, we did a few iterations of the product until we really found really the sweet spot. Because even our return rate, you know, when we offer the trial, customers are able to return the mattress if they're not comfortable with it. And the return rate is probably one of the lowest in the industry globally. So that really means we got our product right. You know, our customers love the product. So that was the journey. Develop initially something that we thought was right with some product testing. That was our MVP. And then we put it in the market. We iterate a few times over, I would say, the first year, roughly year and a half. We did a few iterations until we got a product right, and then after that we could scale it a little.
So there's a couple of things that I'd be very interested to unpack out of this, because getting into the manufacturing side and trying to figure out who the manufacturer is, trying to figure out the prototype and all of that, coming from, you know, Airbnb and digital marketing, I'm going to guess that this is probably the first time of dealing with a manufacturer, and probably the first time of manufacturing a mattress as well. How did you try and establish kind of the knowledge set in the first place to have the conversations with the manufacturers in regards to what the raw materials are, the components, the process, the timing, all of these different aspects, to really be able to comprehensively understand the cost and the price point that you're trying to target. And then I guess that links up to being able to effectively run these surveys when you did have returns, of knowing what are the right questions to ask.
Mm. So for the first question, I suppose it's just a lot of research and study. So luckily, my wife, that is also my business partner, got some experience with that product. So she knew a little bit, because when she was started at university, she was working part-time on a store that was selling high-end mattresses. So she knew a little bit. So we were not really starting completely from scratch. But apart from that, I think is really study a lot and research a lot and try to analyze. And then after that, it's really building the relationship with the supplier. And at the end of the day, like any business relationship, it's a matter of teamwork, so working together to try to understand so what we can bring to the table, and what they could bring to the table. Sometimes, and I think this is one of those cases, not having a lot of knowledge on one specific industry or one specific product, it's actually good, because you don't start with a lot of presets, in your mind. And sometimes also when we were discussing with our manufacturer, sometimes we were coming up with questions that they were, that the manufacturer never really asked themselves, because we had no knowledge. So we were like babies, pretty much, sometimes the kids, they come up with these silly questions, but you're like, but let you think about that, So I think that the kind of relationship and the way that the products and evolve is this way, try, to change the status quo. Sometimes it's much easier. You have no knowledge about that industry and you're coming up fresh, so that you can really change things, because otherwise, if you've been in the industry for 20 years, you're probably at a stage, it's much more difficult to innovate and to change your skin. You're just used to work in a certain way, develop products in a certain way. So I think it was good for us and it was good for them. And ultimately, I think it's teamwork, working together side by side. So we really picked our manufacturing partner carefully, and we went through this together, I would say.
Okay. So taking some of that kind of not having the presets and kind of moving away from the status quo, when you were ready to go to market and you tested it, you were ready to go to market, to establish a D2C approach within a space that has historically not had that as a selling channel, how did you approach the product awareness and the marketing strategy in order to build those first customers to take the chance on you?
Yeah, that was probably the most difficult part. I mean,
the cold start is always
yeah. I think when you start a business as an entrepreneur, you're just too excited and overexcited about what you have in mind, that you just want to start, and you just believe that you're going to kill it, and that's how you have to approach it, because otherwise you're not going to make it.
Yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a bit of irrational optimism that you just for
exactly.
whatever reason, you just know you're going to make it.
Correct. So and then you start, and getting the first few sales is challenging. At least this was our case. I think the biggest problem for us was, we were selling online back in 2017, November 2017, when we started. A product was 2,000-3,000 ringgit to buy online from a brand you have never heard before. So that's pretty expensive. That's a lot of money, and I can understand that. So I think build that trust in the space, that was probably the biggest challenge, and get the first few sales. How we approach it was mainly online. We establish our brand presence on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and then we started running some ads. I think influencer marketing was definitely not where it is today, was not as developed. And I think it was changing from content creators that were bloggers to basically Instagrammers, right? So it was that moment. And so it was a little confusing. And I think we missed something there. We could have done a little better, but it was mainly it was mainly, you know, media buying online. That's how we did it. And then it was really improving every day, every week, every month, something. So I would say that we never got to a point where a particular initiative, campaign, or whatever that made the difference. It was really incremental. Like every month, a little adjustment. You know, every month we were changing something. Every month we were improving the website, improving the ads that we were running. You know, trying something new. A lot of testing, a lot of testing, and a lot of try and error. It was pretty much like that. So this is how we got the first few customers. But again, it was painful. Again, when you start, you're just too excited, and that you just think that customers are going to come, or customers are not going to come. You know, better at least you start that way. Then if it's actually the case that it goes viral for any reason, you get tons of customers since the first week. That's great. That's what we all hope and would love to see. But reality is, in majority of the cases, is different. And I think also what, you know, media, unfortunately, have been creating a wrong perception of what is building a business, you know, because we only hear of success stories, you know, you only read about companies and brands and startups that they you know, they go into business, you know, first month they get, you know, millions of things, you know, thousands of products sold, which is great. It might happen, but it's very unlikely, and it's really a minority. So but I think that's where you have to show the passion and the love for what you're doing, you know, and you have to keep going, you know, that's and I think that it's a never ending, you know, it doesn't get any better once you grow, once, you know, there's a lot of different challenges, but still a lot of problems that you have to solve on a daily basis, and always find new ways of running the business. So I think that was the beginning, and the challenge that was, you know, of getting first few customers was definitely not easy. But again, once we got a first few transaction, we just tried to talk to customers. At the beginning, it was pretty much a one-man show. So I was covering, you know, customer support, marketing, social media. I was getting a few freelancers to help me, but I was really wearing all the hats. But that was also good, because I really got a chance to really talk to customers, like on a daily basis. That was if I was not sleeping, I was replying customers and talking to customers like 7 days a week, from 7 in the morning till 1 a.m. at night. And I think that gave me the opportunity to understand customer challenges. Why they were not buying, what was the problem, if it was about the price, if it was about the experience, if it was the product. So and especially I think the first 12 months, that's immensely valuable. Like you have to do that. Like you have to talk to customers every day. That's the only way to improve and understand what is not working. So that's how we grew, basically.
Yeah, I love the aspect of really getting out and talking to customers. I mean, the fact that you have to wear many different hats. I am curious, because of the price point, do you find that a lot of people that come and discover Sonno and are interested in buying still want to have a conversation and call up a customer service rep, put in a phone call just to kind of push them over the edge, maybe more so in the early days than now? Or how is that?
Yeah, I think it was in the early days, and it's still now, especially now in a country like Malaysia. Maybe some other, maybe more advanced markets like the US, where they're at a different maturity stage. So they probably have no problem, spending $500 online. So from a brand they've never heard, they actually like it. They want to be the first. Yeah. Malaysia is very different. They don't want to make mistakes, and if there is no trust, that's very difficult. So yeah, to answer your question, it's very important, and it's something that we've been doing and we've been building over time, and that component is key. And when customers can talk to someone, or even just WhatsApp to someone, I think that makes the difference in customer decision. and in the
Yeah,
customer journey.
the personal touch in order
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get them over. When you look at it, and you were doing media buying, and you've kind of evolved that. You've spoken to a lot of customers. How did you originally identify your kind of customer persona? And has that evolved as you guys have been in market, been speaking to customers? Has there been any evolution of who you think would be the initial buyers and who actually is?
Hmm. Well, that's I would say that's a tricky topic in the sense that of course we got an idea. We always target, urban. We definitely we're focused on Klang Valley, which is Kuala Lumpur region,
Mhm.
Kuala Lumpur area. We pretty much position as a mid to high rather than low end. We're definitely not mass market, but we pretty much position in a mass premium, so-called mass premium. But also what we learn is that, I don't know if you're familiar with Facebook ads, which has always been one of our major acquisition channel, has a magic tool called lookalike audiences.
Yep.
So with that, basically Facebook learn from the customers that you get and finds more customers with, which has similar habits and purchase behavior as your current customers. And I think you can get a little lost on there, in the sense that you start from, you initially have a certain demographic, a certain target audience, a certain geographical location and everything. But once you grow and you rely more on these automated tools, then there is a risk that you don't know who's your customer anymore, because you're really giving it to Facebook and this tools online to understand. How do we solve that, and how do we keep track and make sure that we are on track? Is we usually have surveys. We have annual surveys so that we can understand who our customers are, and then from there it's usually understanding how we can get better with this target audience and how we can go into new target audiences. So it's with a new product, it's just changing our communication, or going into a different channel. So that's something that is about how we want to approach it, and it's a strategic approach to it. But that's how we keep track of who our customers are, and what they do, where they are, and understand what they like and what they don't about our product, what can be improved, and what they think.
Okay. And what was the timing, or what was and what was the logic behind expanding beyond the bed in a box and looking to become a full sleep brand? What were the trigger points that pushed you in that direction?
So there has always been there, in the sense that mattress was for us a starting point. Like of course, the mattress is the biggest purchase, the most important purchase that can make a difference in your sleep, but it's not the only one. So for us, since day one, we wanted to be a sleep company. We didn't want to be a mattress company. We wanted to be a sleep company. So we started with a mattress, and then we knew that we got upselling and cross-selling opportunities. We knew that we could develop products that could complement the experience. You start with a mattress, but it's also important to have good bed sheets, that can be breathable, that can be smooth, that can help you sleep better, So it's always been there. It's not that we became something that, over time, something that we, by chance. We always wanted to get there, and the mattress was just the starting point for us. That's the difference.
Okay. And so now, as far as the additionals, what all have you expanded into in order to get the full scope of it? You talked about pillows. Is it on the full bed dressings and all of that?
Yeah, so pretty much full bed dressing. And as well, last year in August, we launched our first furniture piece, which is a bed frame.
Okay.
I would say that the top two questions, being, managing customer support since day one, and I saw what were the top questions since day one. We always got two main questions. First one was, where can I try the product, when I can touch and feel the product? And the second was, do you have bed frames?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very natural, very obvious. There are two main customer categories: the ones that are moving into a new apartment and the ones that are just upgrading their products, right? And if you're part of the first group, so you're moving to a new apartment or house into a new place, most likely you will also need a bed frame, or you will want to upgrade or get a new bed frame because you need it, right? So that's also something that we work on for a very long time. I think it took about 2.5 years to develop the bed frame. Really took long. We work with very, very talented industrial designers, and we came up with a product that is easy, that is, first of all, great quality, is solid wood, that is easy to assemble, because one of the challenges that we saw when we surveyed about what customers are expecting about a bed frame is that it's easy to assemble. People don't want to spend half a day assembling a bed frame, or they want to, we all love IKEA. I love IKEA. I mean, I've been getting furniture on IKEA since I don't know, 15 years ago. But I really don't like it. Last time I got a bed, I really spent my entire afternoon assembling that. So I don't want to do that.
Sure.
And customers really value their time. So we wanted something easy to assemble. So there are no tools. So you can just, assemble with a few knobs that are available. And it's just beautiful and easy to assemble. So that's one of our latest pieces. So we cover the bed, so whatever you need for the mattress to complement your mattress, pillows, bolster, bed sheet, mattress protector, and so on. And the bed base, which is also core for your bedroom.
Okay. The interesting thing is, because there's a recurring theme about the feedback coming in from customers. It was what drove you through the prototyping of the bed in the first place. It's what drove you towards the bed frame, as we're just talking about. There's a lot of insights that you've highlighted that are coming from customers, and it does make me wonder, as your customer list has expanded, how have you been able to put in the systems to ensure that when you are contacting customers, that you're extracting as much useful information as possible? Is it purely the construction of surveys, or are there additional steps that go on that create that?
There are more always-on activities, because currently we have a customer experience team, and with all the tools that I use to be in touch and talk to the customers, of course we have certain things that we use and certain tools that we use to track what customers are asking, why they're not buying, what is the problem. So there are additional things apart from yearly or periodical surveys that we actually do. And I think that's maybe not the only thing that counts, but almost, in the sense that at the end of the day, you're selling something to customers. You have to make sure that what you do is needed, is right, so I think that's the reason why probably this customer feedback is coming up often, also in our conversation.
Okay. And you now have a customer list of 25,000, if I remember what you said in the beginning. That's a quite an extensive list. Is there a frequency with which you try and have a touch point with them, or what does the customer success team try and drill down into on some sort of cadence?
Yeah, I think on that end, we have a pretty strong CRM that we use, and a lot of automation. I think when you get into this stage, you need them. So we use certain tools that allow us to be in touch with them. Sometimes upselling and cross-selling, sometimes just tell the brand story. So that's what we do with them. And then now that we actually have a store, an offline store, that's also, and it's one of the plans for this year, to make use of it to continue building our community and strengthen, the relationship with our community. So we have a series of events that we're planning for this year. So it's not just online, which is great and very much scalable. But I think, as you also mentioned before, the personal touch, the fact that they can talk to someone, put a face to the brand sometimes, and see how real we are. Because I think there is still this disconnection in a way. Sometimes people don't see that behind a screen, behind a brand online, there are people, right? And I think that's very, very important to build that community for us. So yeah, it's mainly making use of CRM tool that we have, and as well building other initiatives to strengthen the relationship with them.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned the store as well, and I want to touch on that because, starting out as a D2C company, fully online, driving sales via the online platform, to then opening physical locations is a big jump. And so I am quite curious of why you decided to launch physical locations for one, and then two, lessons learned along the way of transitioning from fully digital to now hybrid.
So on why we did it, it's I think it's a kind of a nature. It's pretty natural for us in the sense that especially for the category we're into. As I mentioned before, this has always been the number one question since day one. So people wanted to have the chance to touch and feel it. Of course, there are still a lot of customers that they're fine, very comfortable in buying online, complete their journey there. That's fine. But there's still not a very big portion of customers which they are not, and they prefer to go offline. So on why that's the answer. We've been thinking of that since very long time, and we wanted to do that since very long time. Then pandemic happened, and I mean, we luckily didn't do it before the pandemic. And during those 2 years of the pandemic, we were very well positioned. I think we were very lucky. Most of the businesses, it was pretty much tough for everyone, but we were just lucky to be, in the right time, the right place.
Right industry. I have to imagine during the pandemic when everyone's locked at home, they spent a lot of time trying to think of how they could change their home environments as well. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, correct. But then the challenge was more operational because still not easy to operate during the pandemic, with limited maybe deliveries that can be done, manufacturing having problems. So, but over 2 years, we managed to never stop manufacturing, never stop delivering. So that was very important for us, and I think it was a great achievement by the entire team. And so we could benefit of that, of course. Yeah. But then after, I think was end of 2021 when government started, relaxing the measures. We really saw a big shift. Like customers wanted to go offline. I mean, that's understandable, of course, after 2 years locked at home. So we tried to speed up on that and start in January 2022, January last year, so about a year ago, we started trying to push for find a location and find a place that we could call home, and we can use to let our customers to come and have a look for themselves for the product we offer and the product the brand that we are. So the reason is pretty much that has always been the first request from customers. So connecting to what we say before, just about listening to customers. If this is what customers want, that's what we give them. And for us, it was not only a place where customers can try the product, we also try to develop a place where customers can experience the brand, understand who we are, our values. So we develop in a way that customers can have privacy when they try mattresses. It's not overwhelming. The music, the smell, the privacy they can get is just very different. Our staff is wearing pajama, so it's a total different environment compared to most of the traditional mattress brands and mattress stores that you've been.
Sure.
And in terms of lesson learned, well, I would say the real power of omnichannel. Like we've been hearing this a lot, and especially the past few years, everyone is mentioning this, but reality is that it's already here. This is how it happens nowadays. Very often you discover a product online, and I think for discovery, social media and online platforms are still probably the best way, but for customers is equally important to experience something, especially in our category, where you have to spend a lot of money, right? So I think it's the power of omnichannel and how this thing can work very well, how you can build a better customer journey and how the touch points are from online to offline. and vice versa as well. So I think this is what we learn
Okay.
over the past few months.
Do you find that there's people that simply want to stop into the store to kind of showroom it and are comfortable with ordering online, or people come in with the intent of making the purchase then and there, or is it a bit of a mix?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. We have people just walk in, they see the store, they find it nice, they want to understand more, they try some products. And then depending on what they want to buy, because again, we have products from 99 ringgit,
Yeah,
which is about
sure.
$20 to 3,000 ringgit, so depending on what they're looking for, they might go back online, and especially for high ticket items, the journey is very complex. There are tons of touch points online and offline, and bouncing back to each other. So yeah, it might happen that after they go to store, they go online and they make a purchase online. Yeah, why not? And
Okay.
this is what we want to offer. We want to be ready and want to be there, whatever customers want to do. If they're from online, they want to come offline. If they want to buy and pick up and collect the product already because they need it urgently, or if they walk in and then they want to go online and get it delivered, or if they want to ship to parents. Very often we see customers are buying mattresses or products for their parents, maybe based in another city in Malaysia. So
Sure.
we just want to be there for whatever customers needs.
Okay. Okay. From the product side, when you think about a mattress, it has a longer lifespan. But when you think of some of these other items, pillows come to mind. Ultimately they're going to lose their spring. It's going to end up flattening down a little bit. I know that happens to me particularly. So is part of the aspect of wanting to introduce them is, one, to get the all-in-one solution, but two, to be able to get some level of recurrence, and by having these systems in place with your customers to be able to continue to make sure that you remain top of mind at all times?
Correct. That's exactly like that. In some cases, customers, again, as we said, I mentioned about the two groups, the people that are moving in and the customers that just want to upgrade. Very often when they move in, they would just want to buy the entire set, so they want to buy the mattress, the frame, the pillows, the bed sheets, and the protector because they have baby. So they want to get the entire set, and we want to be there when they ask for that. But at the same time, more often, customers might buy an accessory and then upgrade to other products later, buy the mattress later on when they're moving or after they have learned how good our products are and the difference that they've made in their sleep. So upselling and cross-selling opportunities, that's also very, very important.
Okay. Okay. So looking forward, transitioning to something a little bit more forward looking, what's next for Sonno? What's the ambition in, say, 1 year, 3 year time period?
So what we see is definitely working offline. We want to expand our network. I think we have been learning from our store and the potential that it has, and we really see demand for much more than just one store. So definitely, they want to expand that network, and then continue building the community, making sure that we also leverage on this network of stores to make sure that people love the brand and we can make a difference in their lives.
When you look at achieving those, is there a metric that you try and analyze by? Is it number sold? Is it a purely revenue? Is it something on average ticket size? Are there specific numbers that you kind of manage the business around?
Well, it's a lot of them. It's really a lot of them. But depending on the period, of course, and every year might be slightly different. Of course, we focus on a few main metrics that we wanna measure, whether it is revenues or repeat buyers. So really depends on different stages of the company. Metrics can be slightly different. So it's very, very hard to just mention one and say, this is our North Star. It's just very, very difficult. But yeah, if I have to pick one, its revenues. But again, it would be really, we have a lot of other metrics, customer satisfaction, we have NPS, we have tons of other metrics that we look at,
Sure.
every week and every month. So that would be unfair for them.
I think it sounds like, yeah, there's a lot of trickle down on the metrics depending upon what department and what objective each individual has. Very cool. Let me wrap up here with my final closing questions, the questions that I ask everyone. So the first one of these is what is a tech tool that you just cannot live without?
It's a good question. I would say first that comes to mind is actually Trello. We've been using Trello since, I don't know, very, very long. And I think I always loved it because it's so easy to use, so straightforward, but it just get things done, and especially when you have a team and you want to make sure that everyone is aligned on what has to be done and priorities. I think it's just, I always loved it. That's really my favorite by far.
Very cool. Very cool. As last one here, if you were to talk to another aspiring entrepreneur that's just getting started out, what would the biggest piece of advice that you could offer?
Well, since we mentioned so many times, I think I would have to say, listen to your customers and talk to your customers. I mean, wouldn't make sense otherwise. So, but I think especially early stages, but I don't think that it changes once you grow. That's what is, it's the fuel, of what you do, and so that's what you have to do. Sometimes it's not easy because, dealing especially B2C, and problems might happen. So you might get, frustrated customers that are not happy about delivery or other things. So sometimes can get frustrating, but of course you need to be able to filter what is important, what is more valuable, rather than not. But I think that's still the most important thing that a young entrepreneur can look at, and is really talk to people, talk to customers, and understand their problems and how to solve their challenges.
Very good. Very good. Listen to your customers. Listen to your customers. That's fantastic advice. Fabio, thank you very much for walking me through the history of Sonno and all of the insights on what it has taken you in order to build it to where it is today.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure. I know you got some very important guests over time. I hope that was interesting enough.
We're happy to have you among that list, Fabio.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. All right, that wraps it up for another fantastic episode of the Sea of Startups. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Go onto iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. It's the best way for us to get discovered and to have these startup stories reach a broader audience. If you have any suggestions or would like to get in touch, you can email me at kevin@indelible.vc. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Brocklin from Indelible Ventures, and this is the Sea of Startups.